In this screencast, I want to go through the development process for BowFolios, which is documented in this page under Development History. We're using issue-driven project management principles here, which hopefully you've covered or studied in the class. And the idea is that we're going to break up development into a sequence of milestones. In this case, there's 5 milestones. It's maybe easier to see this way. So there's been 5 milestones so far in the development of BowFolios. We're on the 5th one now. Maybe by the time you watch this video, we're on milestone 6 or 7, but at the time of making of this video, we've accomplished 4 milestones and we're in the 5th one. So it's actually most interesting to start with one that's actually in progress right now. So milestone 5 is this one. There's actually 2 issues associated with it. These are tasks to be accomplished. For example, use methods remove insecure package. And the way we do this in issue-driven project management is each task is associated with a branch of the system, and the branches are named with the issue number. So you can see here, right here, this is issue number 15. That's the one that's created by GitHub. And when we get to doing this task, we'll create a branch called issue 15 to hold it. Okay, so to give you kind of a better idea, if we go to the BowFolios directory, and then we pull down this menu, what you can see is all of the branches. We have a whole bunch of branches, and they're all named with the issue that they were associated with. So that's how we get kind of by convention, we get a relationship between the issues in the system and the branches. Okay, so if I go up to here, so what you can see is we have milestones, and I'll look at, here's the closed ones. So we have a bunch of milestones. Each milestone collects together a set of issues. Okay, so in this one we have 2 issues, and then each issue is associated with a branch where work on that issue is done. Okay? So we can also go to the graphs page and click on network to generate a graphic that displays in this case quite graphically how all of the work is actually done in a branch. So you can see here the black line represents the master branch, and then these blue and green alternating line represents branches associated with various issues. So it turns out in BowFolios I actually started with issue number 5, and I made a branch, and then I did a commit, and then I merged that issue 5 back into master when it was completed, and then I started a new branch called issue 1, and I worked on that. I had a couple commits there, and then when that issue was done, the task associated with this issue was done, I merged back into master, and so on and so forth. And you could, like for example, this issue right here, issue 4, you can see I merged it into master, but I wasn't quite done with it yet. So I kept working, and then I merged it back into master again later on. Okay, so this is how development, I had that same kind of issue thing with issue 11, and even issue 13 had this. So this is what you should do, which is to generate your network diagram, and notice, hopefully you'll get a nice clean network diagram that shows that the work is being done in branches and then merge into master when it's done. When you create a branch locally, you should publish that branch right away so that that branch exists in the GitHub version of your repo as well as in your local one, and then these network diagrams will work out much better. Okay, so so far we've talked about issues that are associated with branches. Issues are collected into milestones, which represent kind of aggregations of work. So if we go back to code, if we go back to issues and then milestones and look at the closed ones, you can see milestone 1 was associated with creating a mock-up of the system. Milestone 2 was associated with implementing the data model. Milestone 3 connected pages to the data model. Milestone 4 was associated with authentication. Okay? But when you're in the midst of a milestone, how do you organize work? And this is important for those of you, when you're working in a team, how do you decide, and a milestone might have 10 or 12 issues in it as opposed to just a couple issues, as is the case in BowFolios. How do you manage work within a milestone? And that's what projects are for in our particular approach. And so projects have a standard structure. We can look at M5, where for our class there's always 3 columns, a backlog, an in progress, and a done. You can notice here that there's no in progress issues. That's not good in general, but the BowFolios project is on hiatus right now. So it would be kind of a lie to say that I'm working in progress on this, because I'm not going to start working on that right yet. But you guys, when you're working on your system during the class, you should always have a task that is assigned to you and that is in progress. Okay, so if we look at something like M4, which was completed, you can see that all of these tasks they started in the backlog at one point, then I worked on each of them in turn, and then when they were done, I closed the issue. That's what this little red icon indicates, and I moved it into the done column. Okay. So if we look at issues, okay, so if we actually open this, you can see it starts off with an indication of what branch it should exist in, or where the work should be done in, and then there's a bullet list of the things that have to be done, and then it's assigned to someone, so it's assigned to me, and it's associated with a milestone, and it's associated with a project. So those are all the things you need to check to make sure that you've got things set up just exactly perfect. Okay, so once you've so that's the general structure: projects, issues, branches, and milestones. Okay, and then the final step of that is to actually document that, and hopefully the documentation in the BowFolios will help you keep on track. So if we go back up to the beginning of this, what you're going to do as part of your documentation is create kind of a log of how things worked. Okay, so you can see the development history. You should have a section talk about the overall general development process, and then you say milestone 1, what was that going to be? You talk about when it started, when it ended, what the goal of it was. You might have some screenshots to show what actually happened when you did that milestone. And then you provide screenshots of the actual milestone page showing the issues that were accomplished and who accomplished them. You show the project page and showing that, in fact, all those issues moved to the done side. You can show the network page that shows those actual issues being tasks being developed in branches. And then you go on to the other milestones. Okay, so those are for completed milestones. They all have that kind of same structure, talking about what was done. And then finally we get to milestone 5, which is started but ongoing. And there we don't have screenshots because we haven't completed it yet. But it talks about what will happen, and then allows you to link to the pages, the milestone page and the project page, which is where you can get at the issues. So that's the general approach for project management. The goal here is to enable groups of people to work together without stepping on each other's toes. It enables everybody to know what they should be working on at any one period of time, because they should have an issue that's assigned to them and is in the in progress column. And you also should know what everybody else is supposed to be working on at any point in time, because you can go to that in progress column and see who is assigned to what. So the major part of this class is actually taking this very simple development process and making it work for you. Actually doing the hard work of defining the issues and keeping track of where they are and assigning them to people and having people actually carry out the tasks that they are assigned. Okay, and do it in a branch. Okay, so, and merge it into master when they're done. So it doesn't seem hard. It's not rocket science, but it's a little more complicated to carry out in practice than you might think. That's why you're going to practice this in this course. So enjoy this. I think when you get done, you'll find that this is actually a fairly scalable development process. You can organize, a dozen or more programmers to work this way, and hopefully minimal or no conflicts. And if conflicts do occur, you should be able to detect them pretty quickly.